viewer, I have a Skyrim build for you. I'm thrilled to show this one, and for many reasons. One, this is a build I've never really attempted. A shield mage, let's call it, when you have a shield and a spell in your sword hand. It's actually really my first time. Would you believe that? Do you know what is happening for the second time, though? A collab with my friend PCOutcast. Yes, we will make Ayleid builds now. 4 of them, hopefully one for each of the Ayleid elements, which are basically the box standard ancient Greek / modern natural philosophy for elements, except you replace fire with light. Not sure why would you do that. It's a kind of a redundant change one, like you can reduce one to the other. It just pretends to be something else. Fine. Who am I to judge? I have my Stone Shield, and PCA made his Earth Mage. His video was actually published a few days ago on Christmas Eve, link in the description. For this one, I allowed myself to do some crazy stuff with quite a lot of intermod synergy. The Ungodly Talons of Nirn Apocalypse spell plays a major role, staggering everyone around you continuously. The Triumvirate spell of the Earth Totem slowly but surely will kill every enemy around. Generally, the build is my answer to the age-old question of what happens if everyone is constantly staggered while also constantly taking a lot of damage. And you can see the results are actually pretty predictable. There is no need to make an answer special video for it. But anyway, you will stagger people by blocking, block bashing, spell casting, and simply by just being there in your heavy armor. The finished build is OP as hell. If you like what you see, consider watching my Beastmaster too. It was recorded on a potato computer, but the build itself is really quite a lot of fun. For the mods, we have Vokrii, Summermyst, Evenstar, and all the spell mods for the cool kids, so Elemental Destruction Magic, Apocalypse, Triumvirate, and optionally Odin. On a very technical note, all these spell mods have a compatibility patch for Vokrii, but the Elemental Destruction one may be a little bit dated, so it can potentially revert some Vokrii things to the older versions. I'm not sure if that is the case, just something to consider. Also, we need that patch quite badly for this build, so remember to put it under all the others in your load order. Order! Odin is used only for the entropic line of spells to buff your Earth Atronachs. These summons will eventually be completely overshadowed by the totems, which also use the summoning slots, so yeah, you may skip Odin if you like shorter load orders. Order! For the looks, we have the Immersive Armors for the glorious Wild Hunt armor here. It will require crafting and quite a few smithing perks. Tough luck for you if you don't like crafting. I will try to be brief about the backstory, because there's so much to talk about. So the Stone Shield is a wild elf. Not sure if they even exist in Tamriel, nobody is, but let's say they do. And there is this one isolated tribe, let's say, of wild elves with physical and magical characteristics similar to those of the Altmer. And they are the keepers of some ancient Ayleid school of magic focusing on earth binding. They have a tradition of shield-bearing warrior shamans, like my man here, Stone Shield. Sometime in their youth, some of them get a vision of where to find a powerful shield attuned to their soul. And our guy once dreamt of a far, snowy land where another long-lost elven civilization is not entirely lost, actually. And the dream also showed him a nice, shiny shield waiting for him there, so he ventured north, where he will discover that a journey is not about its destination, but it is also and mainly about the friends we make along the way. No joke. He will actually grow fond of Skyrim and try his best to become its hero, champion and protector before even considering a journey back. What a weirdo. Let's get back to the nitty-gritty, though. For the race we have a High Elf, a choice that, combined with the Atronach and Alter Self perks in Alteration, the Talons of Nirn spell, which will be absorbed by the Atronach effect and cast for free via the OP Okatos Recital spell, means all of that means we don't need to invest any level ups in Magicka, even though we rely on spells quite a lot. This is such a cool synergy, and I'm just warming up. This is synergy orgy. So for the attributes we need something like 2 points of stamina per 5 points of health. A bit more stamina could be good, as we will shield bash a lot, but since the entire combat style is a little bit stationary and we will have our stamina regeneration blocked anyway, I thought I could address this issue by using the Circle of Strength spell frequently. This way I can focus more on enchantments enhancing bashing damage and stagger. And every time we stagger someone, a friggin' rock spike springs from the earth to make people fly. I think it was a worthy trade. For the standing stone we have the Lady, which will block the stamina regen, but in turn it gives us 40% more bashing damage, which with the appropriate block perks and some Summermyst enchants turns your shield into a decent weapon. We will also get 25 points of stamina each time we block a hit. So with the Circle of Strength absorbing stamina from enemies, the lack of stamina regen is barely an inconvenience. The main skills are block, heavy armor, destruction, alteration, conjuration and smithing. I also took one perk, the mastery in enchanting, so that I can make some decent gear myself and skip honed metal mod. It really depends on your load order, and you can always use some resto looping if you really have to, so it is highly optional. We will need most perks in block, but prioritize the right hand branch because it has the deadly bash, which is our main source of damage, especially when paired with that sweet modded Lady Stone and a Summermyst enchant. A single bash will still only be just about enough to take down a basic Draugr, but since we also deal repeated passive damage with the OP Earth Totem spell, a bit of ongoing damage due to the Rock Cloak spell, and hurl people away with rock spikes, it should be kinda useful to bash. We also stagger the enemies with 15% chance with the Poke the Dragon perk, which pairs nicely with the Quake enchantment, giving us another 15% chance to stagger. And there is another staggering perk in heavy armor. Block Runner and Shield Charge can be skipped for the perk point efficiency, but keep in mind it will take some time to develop your OP synergies. When your conjuration skill is perked up to the Twin Souls perk, you can deal with most fights by simply placing 2 earth totems somewhere, raising your shield and waiting. Before that point you may need to be more active and use the impeccable crowd control of the shield charge. In heavy armor, take the entire left branch and the right branch, including Face of Death, but without glancing blows or matching set. We will reach max AR with some blacksmith's elixirs and 1 or 2 items of peerless smithing. We can also make decent fortified smithing items ourselves. Face of Death is quite important, as we would like to use amplified destruction enchantment, obviously, as always, and it doesn't go on armor pieces, so we need to wear that circlet. Face of Death is, as always, a pure joy to have, staggering everyone who power attacks or bashes against us, which again, with the Talons of Nirn, is such a delicious punishment for those bastards, I love it. And of course, elemental defense with elemental protection, and the second rank of Alter Self means much less headache with mage and dragon fights. In the smithing skill we need to reach the dragon smithing perk, but which way should we take? There are some heavy sets supported by the right hand branch, especially with Immersive Armors, and the left branch, while offering full improvement and crafting of most of the heavy armor sets, needs 1 more perk point. In the end I decided to take the heavy armor route, so the left hand branch. It's easier this way, and honestly, if you would like to recreate this gorgeous face with the black hair, black face paint and the all black eyes.
Oh man, you blew all the blood vessels in your eye, man. That's totally messed up. That's so cool.
This dude should look really badass in ebony or orcish. Yeah, that's my main reasoning for this. In destruction, take the fire branch, which for us is the earth branch due to Vokrii elemental destruction patch. Also Mage's Fury, 1 rank of Rune Master, and the Hethos Disjunction. Scorched Earth has a special effect on earth spells. It makes low health enemies more vulnerable to physical damage, including shield bashing, of course. Normally these perks giving you some extra things against low health enemies are a little bit pointless in my opinion, but here, since the shield is not the best weapon by itself, it really made a difference. It helped finishing the fights faster. Good for you, pointless situational buff. I'm so happy for you. In Conjuration, take the Atromancy branch all the way to the Twin Souls with only one rank of Oblivion Stone. Twin Souls will be such a huge jump in power for you. I would recommend doing everything in your power to reach 100 fast. If you know some cool technique of speed leveling in Conjuration, do that too, and share in the comments. I actually don't know any for Conjuration. Weird. In Alteration you need all ranks of magic resistance, both ranks of Alter Self and the Atronach. Atronach unlocks the aforementioned combo with the Talons of Nirn spell, which, as also mentioned, we will cast for free. It means infinite magicka, plain and simple. You can cast as many stamina-absorbing circles or as many earth runes as you possibly need. Your magicka will never end, well, not as long as the Talons of Nirn are in effect. Alter Self was used to increase magicka and then gain some shock and fire resistances, which with Vokrii Elemental Destruction patch actually means fire, earth, shock and wind resistance. Frost resist will be placed on the boots. And now for the gear. Obviously the Shield of Auriel will become the staple of our stone shield. The force wave it can grant you on bashing goes very well with the overall staggering and hurling combat style. It will get overshadowed late game, but with the backstory in my mind, I just couldn't bring myself to replacing it with anything more efficient. It's literally his dream shield, man. Then we have Amplify Destruction on the Circlet, Quake on the Ring, Force on the Necklace, Fortify Bashing on the Gauntlets, Fortify Alteration on the Armor piece, and Resist Frost on the Boots. Force improves stagger from power bashing, and Quake gives 15% chance to stagger all nearby enemies when you block it. What can I say? It's a really staggering build. Before Alter Self and Twin Souls are unlocked, you should consider some Fortify Magicka and a second slot for Amplify Destruction. And now for the spells and combos! Actually, to be quite honest, they all combine with each other and with your perks. We will use quite a few expensive expert and master spells, but who cares when you have infinite magicka? First we want to have the Rock Cloak, Stave of Binding and the Talons of Nirn in the Okatos recital. It means we have the passive damage and a chance to stagger enemies from the Rock Cloak, which with the Talons of Nirn means we have a small chance of spawning a Rock Spike underneath the enemies and fling them up and away, while our power bashes will also create a Rock Spike while also immobilizing the enemy with a 1 in 4 chance to disarm them as well, as if these poor bastards weren't helpless enough already. Meanwhile, the Atronach perk, as mentioned, will continuously absorb magicka from your own Talons of Nirn spell, resulting in infinite magicka, letting you spam direct damage or crowd control spells at your leisure. All of that will happen for free at the start of each combat and remain in effect as long as you stay within the reach of the Talons of Nirn, which is quite a reach actually, no need to worry about that. Then when all this stuff is happening, you can use an Earth Atronach, especially before you have Twin Souls perk, or when fighting outdoors, the Atronach may be a better choice than a totem. If you have Odin spells, you can then stay comfortably back, holding up the Entropic Power spell. It increases the Atronach's damage output. If you run out of magicka, just stop the spell for a second, the Talons of Nirn will restore your magicka and you can recast the Entropic Power. With the Twin Souls, you will mostly want to just place 2 Earth Totems somewhere instead of Atronachs every 7 seconds. Each of the totems will create a large radius shockwave dealing 240 damage. If you feel like you need more stagger, you can follow the totems with the Thrumming Stone spell, which causes a staggering shockwave every 8 seconds, which of course means even more rock spikes everywhere. Let's also add the impeccable crowd control of the Fissure spell, which creates a rocky wall in front of you, and the Tumble Magnet, which pulls enemies to whenever you place it, even very high up. Fissure knocks enemies down and can potentially separate whole groups of enemies from you, which means for about 20 seconds they will be unable to harm you, but will take the horrendous damage dealt by the Earth Totem. Same goes for the enemies that can't do anything because they are being constantly pulled by the magnet. Yes. Since the balance is already out of the window, let's also use Spell Twine to add the heal effect to Gravel and Earth Rune. With the Infinite Magicka trick, they can be cast constantly, they both have a small chance to stagger enemies, and as mentioned with Scorch Earth, will cause low health enemies to take more damage from your shield bashes. Also, before all this synergy is possible, the amazing and perfectly balanced Visions of Healing spell should be used. It will periodically heal you and deal damage to a random enemy. It also suits the backstory. It's a shaman spell, this guy is a shaman, who cares about OP, honestly? It's a roleplay decision, yes, it's for roleplay. For shouts, one word of Unrelenting Force for the stagger, of course, and full Marked for Death are bare minimum. Marked for Death especially, it ever so slightly increases your damage output, and against living foes you can pair it with a rather cheap Tree Totem spell, which deals ongoing poison damage to everyone around. So I think that's it. What do you think? What do you think? Is it enough synergy? Is this enough synergy, my friends? Overall, considering shield and spell is not the easiest thing to pull off, I think this is a success. Yes, throwing OP spells into a Katos recital is always a success. I know, okay, I get it. I just had to try these combos, no? Anyway, do remember to watch my friend's PCOutcast's Earth build, link in the description, and that Beastmaster build I mentioned. Also like, share, subscribe, and tell your Hollywood friends about me, so they can make me famous, alright? We will see each other again. Bye bye.